Is that vision of success for your life, for your business? Is that truly your vision? Or are you living a lie? With Saturn and Neptune retrograde, this is what we're looking back at here. Are you showing up? Are you doing the things? Are you being responsible for the things that are actually yours to be responsible about? In this video, I'm going to break down this retrograde period for all the 12 signs so you know what it's all about and so you know how you can get the most out of this transit. If this is your first time here, my name is Jay, this is Malik, and I'm an astrologer and a business coach, and I am here to help you build a Saturn-proof business that's not just profitable, that feels good and fits in your life, not runs your life. So if that's so good, maybe consider subscribing. But let's get into today's video. Let's look at Saturn first. Saturn went retrograde on the 12th of July, the 13th of July, depending on your time zone. And it went retrograde at 1 degrees Aries. Now, the shadow for this retrograde period started around the 6th of April, at 25 degrees of Pisces. And that is where he's aiming for, Currently, he's at 1 degrees of Aries, and he's moving back to 26 degrees of Pisces. Now, the retrograde period is going to end on the 27th, 28th of November, and he'll be around 26 degrees of Pisces. This is your second chance, This is where you're looking back at what's been happening since then, since April the 6th. What's been happening in your life? Where are your boundaries been a little bit looser than they should have been? Where have you not been responsible? You're maybe spending more time in your illusion and the fantasy with Neptune being so close by, rather than taking responsibility for the actions that you take, Where have you been idealizing action or inaction? The retrograde period ends on the 27th, 28th of November, and then the integration period starts until the 23rd of February. So this is where you're moving back. You're having that second chance. You're going back at it again. And I think with Saturn, when he's direct, is like, have you got the boundaries, the structure, the discipline, the responsibility? Like if you're cutting the grass, have you got the actual lawnmower to begin with? That sort of a thing. When he's retrograde, it's like, is this your action to take? Or are you doing it because you feel like you have to? You feel like you should be doing it. You were told by some guru on the internet that you should be doing it, but so you do it. It's that sort of a thing. And I think your identity can come up into this as well. It is Aries after all, which is the I am. And it's like, am I living truly the way that I want? Or am I living true to a vision of success that I've seen through a teacher, a parent, through somebody else? A vision, an illusion even. You never seen things clearly with Neptune being there. Let's look at Neptune then. I like to say Neptune's like the honeymoon phase, of a relationship, which is direct. Once she goes retrograde, that's when the veils comes down. You start to see things for what they really are. That all the butterflies and all that stuff fade, and you start to see this person for who they really are. And then you start to make that decision. Is it yours? Are they yours? And it's that sort of a thing. The things that have maybe been romanticized, idealized, or that sort of a thing. You might have been like one of these people that are into manifestation, and you might have been romanticizing the more, writing things down, putting it onto your pillow, and then forgetting about it and not doing anything to actually move you forward to that. Whereas you might see that that was actually an illusion now. You might see that, do you know what? I was trying to manifest this dream person in my life, but I never went to anything. I never went on an app. I never done anything to actually put me in that position. I just wrote it in a bit of paper and put it under a pillow. You might see things like that, where you've maybe escaped the illusion into illusion or fantasy during this time. Now, Neptune went retrograde on the 4th and 5th of July at 2 degrees Aries. And if you look back to the 13th, 14th of March, she was at 29 degrees Pisces. That's where we're going back to. She will arrive there on the 10th and the 11th of December, and then she'll start moving forward again. So when she's in shadow, what's been happening? What was the vision? What was the illusions that you had? Where were you romanticizing your actions? Idealizing actions? Where has there been that conflict maybe as well? Aries is ruled by Mars. There's that sort of there could be that conflict where you maybe had things going on that you're like, where has that been? And where have you maybe escaped it? Yeah. With Neptune, escapism. And I think with one of the things is like, for when you look back, if we use that example with the manifestation and you look back and you're like, well, actually I was deceived because I actually thought that I didn't have to take any action. I thought I just had to write it in a bit of paper and it would come true. And then now you're like, but actually if I had went to a club, if I'd went out with my friends more, if I'd done this, then I would have been in more situations. If I'd done the things that I wanted, I might have been somebody who's more into the things that I like. These sort of things that you then become more clear. And you're like, so I was actually deceived by this illusion. And Saturn's like, well, you were, but we can do something about it. We can move forward again. We can put boundaries in place. We can create structure. We can do all this stuff to help move this towards the vision that you actually want. Towards that dream. Yeah? You might have done it the wrong way, but we can do it again. You're getting that second pass at things. Now, Saturn and Neptune are going to go conjunct, and they're going to go conjunct at 1 degree Aries on the 1st of August, maybe the 31st, depending on time zones, at 1 degree Aries. They're working together on this. They're close. Saturn wants you to go after the vision that Neptune is giving you. He wants you to use that fantasy, to use the illusion, but not to let escape it, not to escape into it, yeah? To keep it grounded, practical, structured, boundaries, and all the stuff, yeah? But go after that dream. Don't just let this transit pass. That's the big thing here. And that conjunction, when they come together at 1 degree, that's pivotal, yeah? 0 to 1 degrees, they're the early degrees of Aries. That's where you're more bold. That's where you're more direct. That's where things are more about you, your identity. It can feel like your identity's changing because it's such a powerful shift. Yeah, when they come together at that 0 to 1 degrees of Aries. I will go at 0 degrees around 14th, 15th of February when they are direct again. Yeah? And that's when you're going to get that youthful Aries spark, fire, powerful cardinal, let's initiate, get things done energy towards the dreams, the big dream, the bold dream, the unconditional love, the things that you really want. And it's right now when it's retrograde, you're seeing clearly, you're not got the fog. You can see things for what they really are, and you can see where things have maybe went pear-shaped. Yeah? You've got that change. You've got that chance right now to change that. So the next thing I want to talk about is Uranus and Pluto, but Uranus first, because Uranus is going to make a sextile to Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. Yeah? He's in Gemini now. He's going to be there. He's like Saturn and Neptune. He's going to be there, go retrograde, go back into Taurus, but then move forward back into Gemini for good. Right now he's in Gemini. He's direct as well. So that means there's a breakthrough to be had in that area of your life. There's something that might create a little bit of disruption, a little bit of chaos, or it might feel like inner chaos or that when he goes retrograde, but there's going to be something there. There's a breakthrough to be had with your communication. And I think with Uranus and Gemini, the big thing is be okay with changing your mind. Be okay with being the one that can pivot. Don't get so rigid and structured and all that stuff with the way that you communicate, with the way that you process things, with the beliefs and all that stuff that you've got. Yeah? It's also about not being too heavy. Gemini is not a heavy energy. It's very, very light, very surface level. It's like the early education, primary, high school, that sort of stuff, where you're learning the basics. And then Sagittarius is more university and all the higher education. So with Uranus there is that opportunity to be had with Saturn and Neptune. And it's going to come from going after the breakthrough you need to have with your communication. That might be speaking your actual truth, liberating yourself from the chains of the past, letting go of the rigid structures, Saturn, rigidness. No, we liberate ourselves from that with Uranus, letting that go so that you can move into that dream vision. Yeah? With Neptune. Pluto wants to kill everything. He wants to kill it, but not just for badness, so you can rebuild. He's a builder. So you want to break things down, and you might be feeling a lot throughout this transit where it's like, I want to burn it all down and start again. You might feel like that during this. And it might be the right thing to do. You'll know yourself, whatever this is. But you might feel like you want to break things down, burn things down, and start again with Pluto. Sometimes you don't need to do that. Sometimes a pivot is all you need. And that's where the two of these things together are going to really help. But it might be like, I think as well, like when it's Aries energy, with Saturn and Neptune, you maybe have to look at things with Pluto. What are you letting the past define your present and your vision? Yeah? Whether that be a wound, whether that be fear, whether that be trauma, whether that be anything, is looking at the hard stuff and saying, right, where is this defining me now? And if it is, then that's a sign that you maybe need to let that go. You need to let it go and do all the therapy and all that stuff and the shadow work and all these things to be able to let it go and integrate the shadow into your life. By doing that, you're getting supported. Yeah? When you do that, you've got that lovely trine, which makes things easier with Uranus. Makes things feel more effortless. But you've also got these windows of opportunity with Saturn and Neptune. Ask yourself, are you the person to be doing these things that you're doing? Is this your vision to hold? Like, if you've got a business and you're trying to grow on Instagram, one of the biggest things that I see anyway is like I see people that will sit and tweak an Instagram post or a thumbnail or an Instagram bio or these things, or they'll edit a video for 100 hours and never do the damn thing. Yeah, whereas that it gets to a stage where you're like, right, outsource. Like, that does not need to be yours to hold right now. And I know it's very, very surface level. There could be deeper things going on with this transit, but for the example, that's what it sort of is. Where are you spending your time escaping by tweaking the bio instead of actually doing the things that can actually move you forward? Yeah? Like making sure you're showing up and creating content for a start. The bio, you get a first draft, you can tweak it. Yeah? You don't need to tweak it like for hours and I need the perfect bio. Perfect bio doesn't exist. Yeah? In life, this could be a person who, why are you leaning on this person so much when why are you holding on to this person's trauma so much when you don't need to hold that for them? You don't have to be the responsible one for that because that's not yours to hold. I think another thing to ask with these transits are, who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you without the illusions? That's what you're going to see. You're going to see what life looks like without the illusions. Hello, Malik. You just decided to come back, son. What is things when the illusion's gone? Are things as you would have hoped? Could you be further along? These are things that are going to crop up as well. And it's about like, okay, well, maybe I was escaping into daydreaming. Maybe I was escaping into procrastination rather than actually doing the things. Maybe I was escaping into that illusion with the manifestation where we burn shit and things like that. Now, I'm not getting down on anybody while saying that. What I mean is that you could be escaping to that and realize it's not working for you around this time. And it's about doing the actual things, putting yourselves in the situations that actually move you forward. The last thing I want to touch on is like, do you have the things, the skills, do you have the things you need to do it? Yeah. It's like Saturn, when I use the mower example, when he's direct, it's have you got the lawnmower? Yeah. When he's retrograde, it's you naturally need gas. Have you got the gas for that? This is where you're going to be like looking, okay, what do I need to get me to the next bit, to get me closer to that vision? And that could be, I need to develop new beliefs. I need to embody new beliefs. I need to change beliefs. I need to let go of trauma. What do you need? Not what some guru on the internet tells you need, or some version of you has told you need. For you to step into that dream vision, What do you need? Yeah? Do you need to go back to university? Do you need to learn some skills? Do you need to let go of something? Do you need to release something to be able to get you towards that dream vision? When I work with clients, the first thing we do is work on that dream vision and make sure it is theirs to hold and not somebody else's version. So what is that vision for you? What is the vision of getting up in the morning and going to bed at night? What happens in the middle? Make sure you've got time for your family, the people, the things you love. But you also need to have the time where you can be responsible, where you're earning, where you're doing all that stuff, where you've got that money to support your lifestyle. Yeah? Make that dream day. What does that look like? You've got all these things included. And also time for yourself. Time to show yourself love. That's important. Okay, let's break it down for the 12 signs now, where we can dive in a little bit deeper and see how this could be impacting on your life over the next little while. Let me know in the comments what's been going on for you. As an astrologer, I love to know that stuff. And let me know if you've been noticing anything that you're starting to see a little bit clearer. Leave it in the comments. And if you're enjoying this video, hit a like, do all the algorithm stuff. Aries, Sun, Moon and Rising, use it up first. And for you, we are jumping into your first house. That is where Neptune and Saturn are going to be teaming up. And when you've got that, you've got this illusion. You've got this, maybe you've been idealizing things that have been a vision maybe of where you want the world to see you. Yeah? The first house is how you show up, how you portray yourself, how you show up online to your friends, to your family, to everybody. Yeah? A lot of people say that the first house is how you felt safe as a child. And that is how you show up instinctively now. So when Saturn and Neptune are here, it's where are you showing up authentically versus where are you performing? And I think you need to ask yourself during this transit is, am I building a life around who I really am? Or are you just being who people expect you to be? Are you just doing what you've done because you've always done it and that's just the way it is? Yeah? Or is this where you really are? Are you escaping into that? Are you escaping into that vision because people think, oh, well, that's what he should be doing, or that's what she should be doing? Or is it truly what you really want? I think that's the big thing that's going to be coming up for you over the next probably a few years, but during the retrograde period, I think there's going to be thoughts around, am I showing up just because this is the way I've always done it? And you're going to have this sextile from Uranus and Gemini, which is going to be in your third house. It's time for you to say the things, Aries, instead of just pretending that you can, because people don't expect you to say these things. They don't expect you to take that stance and say the things that need to be said. It might not even be like with the tougher things. It might just be like a path that you want to explore. I think with you, there's a good opportunity for you to start publishing and start broadcasting what your thoughts are and stuff like that. Maybe through a blog, maybe through YouTube, podcast, these sort of things, because you have got the sextile from Uranus in your third house, but you've also got Pluto and Aquarius in your 11th house, which is working on your groups, your social networks, your friends. Yeah. So like when it comes to the internet, the 11th house has got that connection there as well. So again, the YouTube, podcast, that sort of thing is a good thing for you, Aries. To do that, you need to be clear, Aries. You need to be clear on who that person is that's showing up. Because the more authentically you show up, the more you lean into that rising sign, the Aries, the boldness, the direct, the fire, and use that to your benefit, that makes you more magnetic. Yeah, your rising sign helps with your magnetism. And when it's your third house and 11th house have got that, you've got that pull as well. You've got that breakthrough coming from saying the things. And it might mean that you have to restructure your social networks, your friends, that sort of thing. Maybe the people that expect you to be that certain way, maybe they're not your people. Maybe you need to rebuild that area of your life for people to see the real Aries that's behind that. This is going to be different for everybody, how how subtle or how noticeable this is. Like, how much have you hidden, Aries? A lot of people think Aries is this bold, fiery, they just run ahead first into everything. But it doesn't mean that they've got other things in their charts that can pull them in different directions. And they can dim that fire. So just remember that leaning into that boldness, leaning into that passion that Aries can give you, but you need to do that with the things that really matter. And that starts with being really clear on what that vision is. What is that vision for you, Aries? Not what people expect. Just what Aries really, really wants. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising for you, we're coming into your 12th house. And this is the house of the hidden, the solitude house. There's spirituality here as well. It also comes down to self-sabotage. And I think the thing for you to think about during this time is looking at the times where you're maybe procrastinating. Look at the times where you're maybe using spirituality as a way of ghosting your goals. You're maybe procrastinating on things, getting distracted, and you're saying, oh, it's just rest. Now, again, severity could be different for everybody, but I think it is like if you find yourself escaping into the daydreaming or escaping into the procrastination, are you actually just like kidding yourself on by saying that this is just because it's rest and rest is important and all that stuff? I think when you've been in that spiritual world where it is kind of like, make sure you're taking that rest, make sure you're doing the stuff. I mean, there's got to be that balance, but it's very, very easy. And a lot of people sort of focus on the rest side when they're talking about manifestation, when they're talking about all this stuff, which can make a lot of people get stuck there. Yeah. Where they don't think the actions is important. And I think that if you're sitting there daydreaming away and like, I'm just being, or it's just my rest, or it's just this, then that rest can become just as problematic. And I think that that's where you need to look at when you're trying to work with Saturn here, because Saturn wants you to do the work. He wants you to be responsible. He wants you to be mature. He wants you to take a stance, Taurus. But if you're constantly daydreaming or procrastinating or getting stuck in your head or being in the solitude and not doing the things, then you've only got one side of the puzzle. Yeah. Which makes it more difficult for things to happen for you. And I think over this time, you might start to, when the veil comes off with Neptune and you're like, actually, do you know what? I could be so much further along if I stopped doing this procrastination, getting distracted, sitting daydreaming for hours, like whatever it is. Yeah. I think that sort of stuff, where you've been doing that sort of things over the last wee while, will start to come up. So if you look back to March and you're like, okay, I think there's something here. I think this is resonating a little bit with daydreaming or procrastination or whatever, then that could be something to work on. And I think for you, that when you start to do this is going to help you. This is going to help you bring breakthroughs in your career. It's going to help you bring breakthroughs with your money. It's going to make you feel more worthy when you start to do more, Taurus. And I know Taurus like to stay still and they don't like to do much, but you can do this so much. There's so much if you just take the action. I think that's what this is asking you to do here. It's asking you, don't forget that you need the rest, but also don't forget that you need the action to make everything happen. And you've put your second house is activated with Uranus. That's bringing money breakthroughs. Yeah, you might have to go through a little bit of disruption, a little bit of chaos, and that might be where you're at just now, when you're like, okay, I have these goals that I've not really been working towards, and you might need to you might have to redefine your mindset there and say that like rest is important, yes, but also so is action. They go hand in hand. Yeah, so that might be where you're looking at to be able to bring more breakthroughs to your money. But you've also got Pluto in your 10th house. That's rebuilding your career. That's killing the old. The vision that maybe people expect for you. Oh, they were good at school, they went and they were a doctor for years, like that's their career. This might be like, okay, well, that doesn't actually align with me anymore, and this is what I want to do now. And it might mean that you have to destroy what you built, not as in like you just quit your job the next day, but you start putting the steps to do something completely different. Where are you ghosting your goals and calling it rest? That is the big thing for you to look at during this transit. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For you, we are moving into your... What house are we moving into? The 11th house. And this is the house of your friends, your networks, your social networks, your goals, your aspirations. And I think the big question for you is are the goals and aspirations real? Or are they what you think you want? Yeah, if you design these goals and aspirations based on what you've seen maybe online, and it looked good, it looked like the illusion, it was romanticized. But really it's not what you really want. It's just what you thought you want at first, when it was all nice and it was all good, but now the work's actually like the stuff that you're doing, you're like, oh, is this really for me? I think another thing to ask you, Mally, you're on my notes. I think once you've got that strong vision, you're like, yes, this is actually what I want. This is not what I think I should have. This is what I know I want. Yeah? It's like I've said to a few, like 80, it's like I've said to other signs, are you performing here or is this authentic? Yeah? And I think once you work out what that vision is, a performance, or whether it is what you really, really want, you're going to start to attract better people to you, ones that you are able to lead. And that brings the question, like, are you chasing followers to look good? Yeah? Or are you building a following that you're able to lead? I think that's something that's really, like, you're building something that people is worth following. Yeah? For you, Gemini, you've got Uranus going through your first house. This is shaking things up for you. Yeah? This is shaking you up at your core. And the breakthroughs are going to come from your authentic communication, from the way that you speak, the way that you broadcast yourself. And that's where it comes down to. Are you saying the things that need to be said, or are you just chasing the followers? Saying the things that the algorithm wants you to say. Saying the things that your groups that you're a part of want you to say, your religion and all these things want you to say. Or is it truly what you want? Yeah? That's going to come from knowing what that goal, that aspiration is. Not what somebody else told you. Not because you've seen some influencer online parading this lifestyle that you thought looked good. This is what Gemini really wants. And I think as well, you've also got Pluto in your 9th house. Your world beliefs are changing as well. Yeah? As much as, yes, there's breakthroughs to be had from working on who you are and how you show up and the things that you say, that's going to help with Uranus and bring them breakthroughs. But Pluto is wanting you to rise. He's wanting you to rise with your world perspective, your beliefs. So when you build stronger belief systems, when your worldview matches, when your worldview is in alignment with what you're actually doing, with your vision, it all starts to come together here. Yeah, which helps you show up more authentically, and it helps you bring them breakthroughs that Uranus wants you to have. And then in your 11th house with Saturn and Neptune, you've got more of this stronger vision. Yeah, your vision's going to change. Neptune's going to go direct again, and it's going to start getting hazy. And it's going to make things, but if you get to this point, you've got another vision. Your vision, whatever version we're on now, is strong. Yeah? And then when Neptune goes direct again, things will get a little bit cloudy, but we know what we're doing. And that's where you want to get to, Gemini. So are you chasing the algorithm, followers, groups, whatever it is? Or are you building something that's worth following, that's true and authentically you? Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. How are we? Saturn and Neptune for you are sitting in your 10th house. This is bringing breakthroughs in your career. This is bringing structure and boundaries and all that stuff to your career. And I think this is where you have to look at your vision, your public recognition. Yeah? Are you doing things that really reflect your purpose, that really reflect your meaning? Or are you doing things that make you feel useful? A lot of time, Cancer likes to feel useful. They like to be the mother. And that's where you want to be looking in your 10th house. Am I doing this because it makes me feel useful and makes me feel like I'm needed? Or is this actually something that is purposeful? Is this actually something that reflects what I want to do in this lifetime? Is this something that I really want to do? I can see myself doing it. And with Neptune there, it makes it cloudy when she's direct, but when it comes off and you can see things for what they really are you seeing that the way you're showing up online or your business or your career or whatever it is, does that still feel as good? Or are you like, do you know what? This is really draining me. I really don't want to do this anymore. I think for you as well, you've got Uranus in your 12th house. You need to take some time here to be, the quiet time is going to be your greatest asset here. Yeah. Doing the solitude, working on the self-sabotage, looking at where you might be procrastinating or you might be, your version of success might need to change. There's changes happening at a deep level for you, Cancer, with Uranus and Gemini. And I think that taking the time to get to know yourself and do the introspection is really going to help you here. And also for you, Pluto and Aquarius is in your 8th house. That's them fears, the fears that keep you small, yeah? The shared resources with other people, money that you share with a partner, your clients, that sort of a thing. That's all the 8th house. And there could be changes there, yeah? Could also be some big chunks of money coming in, but you might have to do stuff to build up to be able to rise in that area, yeah? And that's going to be coming from doing shadow work. That's going to be coming from taking the time, like we said, with the 12th house, being quieter, being more solitude, and taking the time to do the inner work here, Cancer. But what fears are coming up around this time? Where are you gripping control? Where are you trying to be useful and feel needed rather than showing up as yourself? I think that's one of the big things, especially when it comes to your career and your public recognition. Yeah. It's very easy for people to say, oh, she's the nice one, she does this, or he does this, or he's always there for other people. Yeah, but is that truly taking you to where you want to go? Or is it just so that you can feel useful or feel needed? And that might come from old wounds, old trauma and things like that, Cancer, that you need to work on yourself. And that's kind of the 8th house. These are the things that make you, that you, by feeling needed and feeling useful, these are the things that you're able to control things with. But for you, with Saturn and Neptune and the Aries in your 10th house, this is going to be asking you about your purpose. Are you doing the things that bring meaning, or are you just doing them to feel useful, to feel needed? Leo, Sun, Moon and Rising. For you, Saturn and Neptune are retrograde in your 9th house, and this is kind of making you look like, where you getting stuck in that phase of trying to know everything, trying to do, I'm just researching, I'm just getting more aligned, I'm trying to do this, rather than actually doing the damn thing. Yeah? This is your worldview, this is your higher education, this is the way that you've been shaped, the beliefs, your religious beliefs, your faith. This is where you're looking for meaning. Yeah? But are you constantly researching and constantly trying to get aligned that you're actually not actually moving forward? I think that's one of the things for you, Leo, that is going to come up. I think when you do so much research, and when you're trying to get aligned and doing so much research and finding all the wee bits, it comes to that bit where it becomes a bit like analysis paralysis, where you're kind of done all the work and now you've just done too much and you're like, I don't know which way to go. And that can come from fear. Yeah. And it's like, are you ready, Leo? This is what Saturn wants you. He wants you to commit and he wants you to go all in. You need to look at the things that you're maybe over researching and over analyzing rather than taking action here, rather than moving forward. It's time to be more committed to one thing, to bring more focus to an area for you, I would say, with it being in your 9th house. Now for you, Leo, you've also got the help of your social networks, which is amazing because the 9th house is also publishing. Yeah? This is broadcast. This is putting your word out there and publishing your work. This might be the time where you decide that I'm going to write the book. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do the work that I need to do to get the book deal or whatever it is. Yeah, that might be a thing around this time for you. You've also, your 11th house is get the help of Uranus. which is amazing because that's like your social networks. So again, if you are thinking of, I need to start publishing, I want to start a YouTube channel, podcast, I would say that that's a good thing for you around this time, Leo. Don't get stuck in the research phase. Don't get stuck trying to make sure everything, don't get stuck chasing algorithms and stuff like that. That's only going to slow you down. It's only going to hold you back. Yeah. But for now, Leo, the goal here is to start moving. Yeah. To start publishing, to start using your beliefs. Yeah. Not just getting stuck looking for your beliefs, changing your worldview, over researching. I think for some people, there's this bit where you can say, oh, well, I need to go to uni, I need to do this, and then I need to learn this, and then I need to learn that, and I need to do this. And it's not that you need to learn all these things to be able to do something. It's more that you're just leaning on that because it's safe. And I think that's where you're going to be asked, Leo. Are you leaning on things because they're safe, the researching phase, or are you actually committing to doing something and actually doing it? For you, Pluto is in your 7th house. That means that some of the one-to-one relationships that you've got in your life, not always love, it can be romance, but not always love. It means that these are going to be shifting. These are going to be changing throughout this time. You're going to be building stronger relationships that are not built on fear, that are built on something strong, where you both share your power. There's no control, there's no manipulation, you're just working together as a team. And I think that that's something that you can maybe use collaboration, or not use collaboration, but I think success and that sort of stuff for you during this time could come from collaboration with Pluto being in your 7th house. And you really stepping into your power with again, it's not always love. It could be like a business partner or another YouTuber or whatever it is. I don't know, whatever you're working on there, Leo. But relationships are going to be definitely useful for you. So ask yourself, are you getting stuck in that research phase rather than actually committing to doing the work? Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for you, we are moving into your 8th house. This is your house that you share with other people. Yeah, your intimacy, your shared money. This is usually the big chunks of money as well. So there's a lot of financial ties here because it's like the money you share with other people. Inheritance, tax, debts, that sort of a thing. And this might be a time where you decide that you're looking back at your debts and you're thinking, right, okay, we need to get this sorted. We need to build a plan and be mature and get rid of this. Yeah, which is a Saturn thing. You might find yourself looking back at that. I think for you, though, the big question with Neptune being there is where are you trying to hold on to control here? Yeah, where are you trying to manipulate things? And it's actually taking more of your energy. Yeah, you've got this vision with Neptune. You've got the illusion, the fantasy of what things should be, but it's actually having you overanalyzing, getting stuck in your head and doing all this stuff that is actually to try and maintain control of everything. And I think that when it's in the 8th house, there is that control thing going on. Like, not that you're controlling other people in your relationships or that, but it is where you can sort of hold on to that, where you can grip onto things, where you can manipulate things to try and hold on to your power. Yeah. And I think fear, look at fears, look at work like fears and do the shadow work around this thing for you, Virgo. That's going to be awesome. And I think that's where you're going to be pushed to look back at. I think as well for you, there's something around career as well with Uranus being there. There's a breakthrough to be had there. It may not be something that you can immediately see because Uranus is a slow moving planet, so it takes time, but you might be starting to see the cracks. You might be starting to see the shaky foundations. There might be something that you're starting to see that's coming, that's looking a little bit chaotic at this moment, but work through that. Uranus is guilty of moving into a sign and creating a little bit of disruption in an area of where he's moved into. So where has he just moved into for you? Well, he's just moved into your 10th house. You might be getting a little bit of a shake up there. Things might just, the illusions of what you thought you wanted might start to become that little bit clearer with Saturn and Neptune. All these planets are working together. You've also got the Pluto and Aquarius in your 6th house. That's like, where are you performing work, routines, your rituals, your health rituals, all these things? Where are you performing these because you think that that's going to get you where you want to go? Yeah? You do them now because they're habits. You don't do them because they're useful. Yeah? And that's asking yourself, like, what do I need to kill here to rebuild new habits, to rebuild stronger habits that are going to move me forward, to put you back into your power there, instead of it just being you're leaking all this energy all over the place. And that's why I said, where are you leaking the energy to hold on to that control? Because now you're probably got that comfort blanket around that control, and the doing the rituals and all that stuff that are now is just comfort. You're scared of the other side of things. So with Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house, this is a harder house because it is hidden. It is hidden a lot of the time, as well as one of the hidden houses. So it's going to be the deep stuff. Yeah. Maybe the stuff from the past that you need to work through, the shadow work, all that sort of stuff with this house. But look at that. Look at that question. Look at this around this time when you're reflecting back. Where am I leaking the energy to control what I'm scared of? Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For you, we're moving into your 7th house, which is all about the relationships, your one-to-one relationships, those closer relationships. Not always love. It can be business, can be other, really just your one-to-one relationships. With Saturn and Neptune retrograde there, it's asking you to look back. It's asking you to revisit. And you might find around this time, the honeymoon periods are starting to fade. Yeah. And this could be with any relationship. Yeah. But maybe one that you've maybe idealized or romanticized a little bit, where the rose-tinted glasses have come off, that might start to become a little bit clearer around this time. And it's going to show you, Saturn is going to make you look at, like, what happened to the boundaries here. Yeah. You're going to feel more resistance to these. Like, when you're, like, you might feel more resistance to, like, I don't like this. There's something not right here. Yeah. I don't have my space. I don't have my time. I don't have my freedom or whatever it is. Yeah. But the things that Saturn's looking at are the boundaries, the structure. And in that honeymoon phase, it's very, very easy for boundaries and that to dissolve, which Neptune can do. Are you choosing people that your closer relationships that support you, or are you choosing people that just don't challenge you? Yeah. They don't give you that hard time. They don't give you grief. They just go with it. Yeah. I think all relationships need that element of growth. There's a reason why the 1st and the 7th house are opposite each other, because the 7th house highlights the things that you don't have. Are you just staying here because it's comfortable and I don't have to grow and I don't have to be challenged and I don't need all these things? Or are you staying here because these people truly support you? They help you grow. And I think that's one of the things that is going to come up with, like, you're going to find yourself looking back at over this time. For you, your Uranus is in your 9th house, Libra, which is giving you a window of opportunity. And that's maybe by changing your world view. Yeah. Maybe you haven't always seen relationships, or maybe you think, oh, it's easier just to be the peacekeeper. But when you start to do more looking at your perspectives, maybe changing your beliefs a little bit and looking at your beliefs that support you, and maybe need to find more meaning in other things that show you that, yeah, staying in these relationships just because they're comfortable is maybe not the best option, or because they don't challenge me is not the best option. But there is something that you maybe need to work on with your beliefs, your meaning. Maybe it's searching for meaning in other parts of your life and your relationships. Yeah, the 9th house is also publishing, so maybe that's another thing to think about around this time. You have got the 5th house getting activated as well with Pluto. Pluto in your 5th house. And it's not one of the worst transits, because this is your happy house, the house of joy, the passion, creativity, your self-expression, your kids, and sex does come in here too. But that's what this house represents. So when Pluto's there and it wants to break down and kill down old patterns, it's killing the patterns that you're not showing up as authentically yourself, Libra, where you're molding yourself to fit your relationships. Yeah? When you're in that honeymoon period, and before you know it, you're a completely different person than the person you went into this relationship as. And then the Neptune shows you the truth, and you're like, oh. And then it's starting to rebuild and starting to bring you, being able to express yourself authentically. I think for you, around this time as well, it could be where you gripping or manipulating things to hold on to power, and that, like, whereas things you enjoy. Is a thing with kids where you maybe got too much power and control and you're not letting them step into their true power? Or are you taking the other, where you're just going through the motions so you don't have that challenge? You're keeping things nice and easy to keep things easier at home. But for you, Libra, the question is, are you choosing people who support you and your vision and things that you really want? Or are you just choosing the people that, or are you just choosing the people that don't challenge you? Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for you, we are looking at Malik. We are moving into your 6th house of daily working routines. This is your boundaries around the things that you do every day. Yeah? These are your health routines, your work routines, your habits, your health in general, mental health, your pets. This pet right in front of me right now. With this house, it's kind of the house of productivity, if you like. It can feel like that a lot of the times. And I think the question for you to ask, with Saturn and Neptune both being retrograde there, are you confusing productivity to your self-worth? I need to do X, Y, and Z so that I earn X, Y, and Z. Not so much with finances, yeah? But so that it makes you feel worthy, yeah? If I do this, I feel like I'm worthy. I think you're going to find yourself looking back at your habits, looking at your vision, looking at, is these habits going to actually lead to a vision that I want? Or are these habits leading me somewhere that was a vision at one time, but is not now? Now that I can see clearly, now that Neptune's fog is dissipated a little bit and I can see the path. Is this actually what I really want? And are the habits and the day-to-day things that I'm doing every day to get my vision, are these taking me to the old vision, or are they going to take me to this newer vision? And I think that's where you're going to be looking and retweaking your things to make sure that you are not just going after that old vision and going for what you think you should have. Yeah? Because some guru told you if you do X, Y, and Z, this gives you this ability to do A, B, C. Yeah? So I think that that's what's going to be cropping up for you. Right now, you have got Uranus in your 8th house. This is bringing breakthroughs from, this could be shared money, it could be with relationships, it could be bigger finances coming your way, maybe a tax rebate or something. But with Uranus there, I'm thinking that this could be around like dealing with the things that are making you hold on to power and control with other people. Whether that be that you mold yourself to hold on to that control, or you manipulating things to get what you need in this 8. The 8th house is a harder one because it's one of the hidden houses, but there's definitely going to be some sort of a breakthrough to be had, and I think it's going to come from doing the shadow work, Scorpio, which I'm sure you're not a stranger to that, but I think doing that is going to really, really help you with your daily working routines. Because you know what it's like when you've maybe got something that is maybe a wound around being seen or something that's maybe came from childhood or from a relationship or something, and then it just becomes the norm. It becomes, I had to have that habit or that daily routine because that was what that wound led me to. But don't let your wounds and don't let your fears and don't let all these things define you. Yeah? Choose a vision that is true to yourself, Scorpio. I think as well for you, we have a 4th house activation with Pluto and Aquarius. And this is where you're looking at what security means to you. What does that version of security? Are you making time to be on your own? Are you retreating into your shell? Too much, maybe, or not enough. And I think you're going to look at the fears and the emotional things that have come up in the past that make you retreat back into your shell. Yeah? There may be some things going on with family here as well. It could be around your home. You might be thinking that you want to start looking at a new home around this time. Or you might look at the old family conditioning from when you were a child. Again, with the 8th house being activated, that would make me think there could maybe be some sort of wounds with other people in the past, maybe from childhood, that you maybe need to work on that are going to bring you that breakthrough to help you in your daily working routines. But I think the big thing for you is looking at that vision and making sure that you're aiming for a vision that is what you want. And that might be subject to change right now. And don't get confused with, I have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this to actually feel worthy. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For you, we are moving into your 5th house. This is one of the nicer houses. The house of joy, the house of creativity, passion, sex, your relationship. Not so much like relationships, but dating, that sort of a thing. Your kids also get a mention here as well. And I think one thing that's very, very guilty, or Sagittarius is very, very guilty of, is saying, okay, I don't care, it's fine. Yeah? But as I think what you need to say is like, oh, when maybe, for example, if you're creating content, and because this is about creation, you're expressing yourself through content, and maybe didn't perform. And you're like, oh, I don't care. Is it a mask? Because there's a fear there. Yeah? Is it a mask for the fear of being seen trying? I don't care. It doesn't matter. When really you do care, Sagittarius. You just know that it's easier to think, oh, I don't care. Because then people don't see you as maybe not as strong. Yeah? They maybe see you as weaker if you do care. Is that being used as a mask? I think that that's one thing that you should look at around this time. Because that is about self-expression. I mean, Sagittarius are very, very guilty of not committing to things and not chaining themselves to things, which does lead them to say, I don't care, it's fine. It's cool. Yeah? Is that coming from fear, though? Or is there a wound there of being seen, Sagittarius? That is something I would definitely ask you to lean into around this time. With this house as well, is your creativity, your passion. And I think looking at things like if you're creating content, are you expressing yourself authentically in that content? Are you expressing yourself like a business mentor told you to, or a content coach told you to? Because that gets you views, that gets you likes. Whereas that illusion may be fading now, Sagittarius, and you're starting to think that this doesn't actually matter, the views, the likes. It's more about attracting the people that actually do respect what I do. Yeah? Or are you not showing up on content because you're like, well, if I don't get the likes, then I don't get seen trying. There could be some things around there, Sagittarius. For you, Sagittarius, Uranus is in your 7th house. Could be some collaboration stuff coming on here, especially with business. The 5th house as well has got this tie to like entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So there could be this thing with like maybe collaborations going to be good for you around this time. But I think as well, there's going to be breakthroughs to be had from cultivating relationships that really help you grow and help move you and don't keep you stagnant. Yeah? And don't trap you. We know that you don't like being trapped anyway, Sagittarius. So I think that that's one thing that you probably wouldn't allow. But that's where I think working on these relationships, trying to find these notes. I placed it for these notes to go with this cat today is not working because he just wants to sit on. Right, you sit on that one because I've used that one. Okay? Good boy. Yeah, so as I was saying, I think breakthroughs in that could come from your 7th house, especially with your creativity, with your passion. You might want to bring more structure to your content, to the things that you're passionate about, your projects and these sort of things. You might want to find yourself looking at the structures and are you making enough time for these things around this as well. For you, your 3rd house is getting a mention. This makes me feel even more on that content vibe or that sort of a promotion vibe or that broadcasting your words vibe. Like, it is Pluto. Pluto is in the 3rd house, but that is making a sextile with Saturn and Neptune. With Pluto being in the 3rd house, this is looking at the ways that you've maybe communicated that have been through conditioning. You say these things like because you have always said it that way. Yeah? Or you're molding the things you say, Sagittarius, to sound good. Yeah? That may not just be with content, that could be with anything. But look at other situations. If I say these things, it's going to let me just get away scot-free. I don't feel trapped then. These sort of things could start cropping up around this time. Is looking at these things that say, well, actually, no, instead of just saying the things that can get you out of the situation, I maybe need to say the things that actually really matter. Something tells me though, I know Sagittarius don't, they are very, very truthful. They can honest to a T. Like they can be quite blunt with it sometimes. So I think for you, it's looking back at early childhood and looking back at maybe where you did feel trapped. And he's sitting on the notes I need. Look at the bits where you have felt trapped. So you can avoid them. So you can step into your power in that area. Yeah? Pluto's there giving you power in your communications. With the fifth house, Saturn and Neptune is looking back at maybe where you are just saying the things that you say because it gets what you need. Yeah, but it's not exactly the stuff that you need to say. But look at where you're saying, I don't care. Is it you don't care if you get high views or not? When you really do. You're just scared of being seen trying. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for you, we are moving into Malik. I don't know because he's sitting on the notes that I need. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising for you, we're moving into your fourth house, which is all your home, your family, your private life, your inner security. That sort of a thing comes from the fourth house. And within the Saturn and Neptune, it's maybe what that fantasy or illusion of what you think family life should look like that's maybe been conditioned through childhood is now up for question. Yeah? The veils come off. You're starting to see things for what they really are. You're starting to see that, oh, well, if that's what family's meant to be like, do I really want that? Or it could be like, oh, well, that is what I believe that I want my family and home and all that to look like, but I'm not really on that path. I'm veering off in a completely different direction. And I think with Saturn being there as well, it's like maybe you need to bring more structure to that vision. Yeah? Bring more structure to that dream. Are you actually doing the stuff that are going to get you that dream home? Or are you just escaping? Doing what you think you can have. Doing what people expect you to do. And you might be clinging to comfort because it's safe. Yeah? If I do this, I can get this, and I can stay safe. And this might just because, for you, Capricorn, I would say that maybe you've not seen what stability really looks like. Maybe you need to define what that really means for you during this time. What does a stable environment look like? And again, there could be some stuff up here about coming up about childhood that maybe, things were maybe a little bit more unpredictable, that I didn't really see that, and now I need to start working on that. And it's more like, what does that vision of stability look like for you? That might be subject to change over this time. For you, you're getting an activation from Uranus in your sixth house as well, which is the house of the everyday. It's the stuff you do every day, Capricorn. Yeah? Are your habits and your routines and rituals and work, are they leading to you to where you want to go? Are they leading you to that dream, that vision at home? What that dream life looks like? Are they leading you there? Or are they taking you somewhere totally different? It's maybe time to let go of some old habits or break them or like liberate yourself from them with Uranus being there. Your second house is also getting a mention here, which is your self-worth, your material possessions, your income that you earn on a day-to-day basis. With Pluto being there, you might feel like you're in this period of breakdown, but it's actually so you can rebuild something stronger. You may be starting to question the beliefs that you've had. Not so much the beliefs, but you may be starting to why did I don't know what's around about me right now. Why do I even have this camera? What do I even need it for? It doesn't do anything for me. But you might have got that specific camera because it actually gave you that sense of self-worth. I felt like a photographer when I had that camera. Where are you attaching your worth to the things you own, to your income? Whereas when you start to look at when you detach your worth from the things you own and you start to see things as more abundant instead of looking at it as scarce, you get much stronger in that area. And I think that's when you get that strength in that area, you're working in your habits to make sure you're aiming for that vision when you've got that stronger, bigger vision of what you want your home life to look like. And I would be careful here of getting stuck in maybe solitude with it being in the home, because the home is where you retreat to. And that may be something that you may be addressed. You may be looking at things where you're retreating home instead of actually doing what needs to be done, Capricorn. You might start to look at work-life balance, but I think for you, it's going to be like really working out what stability it looks like for you. And it might be time that you actually define what stability looks like for you and not attaching your worth to the things that you own and the amount you earn and the success you achieve, Capricorn. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for you, we are moving into your third house. Third house is all about communication. A lot of people say it's like the junk drawer. That's like everything that's been thrown down there. But as it's kind of your day-to-day communication, your siblings, your local community, local travel. With Neptune there could be some visions that you have maybe had over, like maybe it's with growing on a content platform like YouTube, maybe it's like podcasting, blogs. You might be trying to build that and you've maybe had this vision in your head that you've been romanticizing. And now that the vision's starting to fade, you're like, is this really what I want? Saturn's like, well, you know what? You've actually spent like 16 hours a day here for the last 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. And we're not actually any further forward. We're not like, and you're a way off path, like from what your actual goals are here. And I think the big thing for you is, are you saying the things that sound good? Are you saying what you truly believe, Aquarius? Yeah. It sounds like some things sound good, they get good numbers, and they get good views. But it doesn't mean that they're going to help you because they attract the audience that like that sort of stuff. But if that stuff's not aligned with what you want in your life, your business, and all these things, then there is not actually useful to you. And I think that's, are you saying the things that need to be said, or are you just saying the things that get you views? I think that's something to look at here. Your fifth house also gets lit up as well with Uranus and Gemini, which means there's breakthroughs to be had from you stepping into your authentic self, from you saying the damn thing, Aquarius, yeah? Not getting stuck, not getting into the analysing everything. And I think that's one thing I can be guilty of as well, especially when it comes to content. And I'll sit and overanalyze everything. I'll sit and overanalyze the words I'm saying. And then because I've overanalyzed it so much, I'm at that point where I'm just like, I'm not feeling this anymore. And I think that could be something for you around this time where you're maybe starting to look at the way that you're saying things and the way that you're expressing yourself, Aquarius. I think working with Uranus there, liberating yourself from maybe conditioning in the past. Or one thing a lot of people say with Neptune is, are you living, is your vision because that's what a business mentor told you, or that's what a teacher told you, or is that's what somebody told you your vision should look like, and it's not really? But this time, with the fifth house getting a mention here and breakthroughs that could come from that, I think it's about really stepping into that authentic representation of you, Aquarius. Your first house is also getting a mention because that's where Pluto is. And he's going to be there over the next 20 years. So I don't think this is going to be like, because the first house is all about you. It's all about how you show up. It's all about the way people see you, your personality, your body, these sort of things, the physical aspects of you. And I think with Pluto there, you're going to change. There's going to be changes. You're going to feel things breaking down and you're going to feel things getting stronger if you work with Pluto's energy. But I don't think it's going to be something that's going to happen immediately because it is a 20-year transit. Yeah. But you might be starting to see things that just aren't working for you right now, Aquarius. And instead of just burying them, when Pluto's in your sign, doing the shadow work, doing that stuff to help move these things along, are going to help you in the long run through this whole transit. And I think doing that just now, like bringing boundaries, bringing structure to the things that you do for yourself, that the way you show up, you're not just showing up like a loose cannon. These sort of things, being more structured, bringing boundaries, and really looking and really showing up as that authentic version of yourself is going to be the thing that really helps you. And that means that you're not dimming your light here, Aquarius. You're not hiding your quirks. Yeah? And that you're not detaching from things that you should actually attach to. Yeah? I'm not saying unhealthy attachment, by the way. Just to clarify that. But I think that that's the biggest thing for you, is to say the things that need to be said and not the things you've been conditioned to say. show up authentically, be creative, enjoy that passion. Like, you spend time, be creative, and that could bring you your breakthroughs. And then do the work, do the shadow work to make sure that you're getting rid of the things that don't serve you to the things that are actually making you show up authentically and making you more magnetic. And remember, Aquarius, don't just say what sounds good on camera or sounds good in content or sounds good to whoever. Say what you really believe. Say what you really mean. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we are moving into your second house with Saturn and Neptune retrograde. And for you, this is looking at your finances, looking back at the ways that you've earned money. And there might be that, like it's kind of like a honeymoon period when Neptune's direct, and then that fades. And it might be like, you know, that course, that coach, that thing that I had that was bringing me earnings, bringing me money, it doesn't really align with where I'm going now. You might start to get that feeling, or you might start to think, I need to tweak. You might need to start to look at things to make it more in line with where you really, really want to go in life. I think when she's direct, Neptune's direct, you can kind of find yourself doing the things that people expect from you rather than doing the things that really are going to help you get your dream vision. Yeah, Saturn's there as well. Making sure that you've got the boundaries, making sure you've got your structure and your discipline. Don't try and take the fast path here, Pisces. It's about being slow, steady, making sure you know where you're going. And that's what retrogrades are all about. It's like looking back, do I have everything that I need to be able to set boundaries, to be able to be structured, to be able to do these things, to make sure that I've got the systems that can help me get to where I want, get to the vision that I want. And I think that that's going to be something for you to look over when Saturn's retrograde. Pisces, for you, we've got Uranus in your fourth house activating that, which means that there's breakthroughs, there's things that maybe you need to liberate yourself from in that area of your life, which is your home, family, your private life. And this could be the things that you've maybe from childhood that you've been conditioned, and it's actually affecting things now, and you need to break free from these things to be able to get the breakthrough that you require. I think that when you start to look back at these conditioning patterns, it may not even be like childhood wounds or anything. It could be like just the way that your family's sort of been brought up, their beliefs that have imprinted onto you. And now you're like, well, these beliefs may not actually serve me anymore, and I need to let go, or I need to recondition these things or recalibrate these things to be able to help me when I'm moving forward towards the vision that I'm actually seeing for myself now that the fog's a little bit less, yeah, and with Neptune retrograde. But I think doing stuff, having that, I think right now is time to break free from things that you've maybe had that have maybe gave you this sense of security or inner security, but aren't actually serving you towards that big vision, towards that. I think that could be a thing as well, because Uranus is making that window of opportunity. A lot of this is going to come from doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, doing the stuff, being in solitude, introspection. That sort of thing is going to really, really help you around this time, because you've got Pluto in your 12th house. That's looking at self-sabotage. Where are you giving too much of yourself, Pisces? Where are you thinking that you need to be the savior? Yeah? Where are you trying to be the savior? Because that could be the thing that is actually sabotaging your success here. And that is kind of like where you need to do the introspection to be able to see that properly. And that might have came from, well, in childhood, I had to soothe everybody to keep the peace and to feel safe. So now I do that instinctively. And that's maybe where you need to, when you do the inner work and you actually see that, and then it's like, okay, I need to work through that. I think for you as well, with it being in with Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your second house, it's like, are your income defining your worth? Is your income defining your worth? Like, I need to earn this certain amount or I am not worthy. I need to earn this certain amount because that person earns that certain amount and they've got that lifestyle. When it's not really about that. Yeah, you build that lifestyle and you build the income around it. You build the business or whatever it is around it. I think you need to look at the bits where you're doing things to prove things. Yeah, I think that's going to come from the introspection though. Yeah. But I think that that's going to really help you. So that's what I'm going to leave you with, Pisces, is does your income define your self-worth? And how much are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? Yeah. Because when you go for that one vision, that big vision, that dream vision, you've got nothing to prove. Because you're going after the life that you really, really want, that matters to you, and that is aligned with you.